I said on my video, everyone's a gamer these days, so it's naive to say that Genshin Impact is reaching an audience of people who wouldn't normally be gamers, because every human would normally be a gamer.
Where are you?
And that we don't talk about computer games and board games separate in the world of computer game development, like game development. They play Dungeons and Dragons and consider it a game as much as they play Genshin Impact and consider it a game. But what was raised as a really important and credible point in the chat was that gamers is an industry term.
Clee was a brave girl today.
Sorry, Clee. Gamers is an industry term for people who play computer games specifically, and because it's like a hobby, like saying like I'm a football enthusiast or a collectible card game trading enthusiast, because it's like a hobby, then there's this world of people who are gamers, who keep up to date with the gaming news, who have like a gaming laptop and, you know, by the gaming times or whatever. And whilst I actually think that's a really good point, like, you know, Asmongold was saying it's attracting an audience of people who wouldn't normally be gamers, and there are some people who aren't normally into the hobby of gaming as such. I also think that my original point still stands as well, that they are gamers. It's just that you're like kind of making an elitist gate of like, unless you are into the hobby, you're not really a gamer. Well, there are some people that play the games that aren't into the hobby, if you know what I mean, that aren't buying Gamer magazine and don't know what new game is coming out next week and haven't got the latest PC, but they're playing as many computers, like they're gamers. Like, it's just that they're not, like, to your level, credible gamers. Maybe they're not, like, maybe there's a spectrum of depth on that scale of hobby, and maybe some people don't play a computer game every day. Like, my mom used to play Tetris on my Game Boy, and I haven't seen her play a computer game for a good long time since then. But is she not a gamer because she doesn't play Tetris as much anymore? Like, is she not a gamer? She plays Candy Crush and shit like that. She's played those games over the time that they've been out on the phone. You know what I mean? When that was like, she'll play a game or two if she fancies it. She'll do Sudokus, phone Sudokus. Is she not a gamer? Can't be credible as a gamer because she's not as far down into the hobby as some people who understand what an NVIDIA GeForce is. Do you have to? Where's the line? When you know what an NVIDIA GeForce is, and then you're a gamer. But before that, you don't count. Like, I think that's the same sort of mistake as Asmongold was making. That, yeah, you can sort of say there's this industry and this hobby of gamers, meaning computer gamers, and that people don't say computer gamers. It's a silly thing to say, and it's not even just on a computer these days. It can even be on your phone. But that's where I'd say, right, yeah, I agree, but that's why all humans who have got phones count. Anyone who's got a phone then, like, can go in that. And yeah, they're not into the hobby as much, but that's, you know, isn't that the same as like imagine a football supporter. I'm a football supporter. I support football team Birmingham, and I didn't go to any of the games last season. So do I count? Am I not as good a supporter as the people? You're just a fair weather fan. You're an armchair supporter, they say sometimes. I used to have a season ticket though, so I'm not an armchair supporter because I've given them a good lot of money and spent a good lot of time in that stadium. I'm definitely not an armchair supporter. I'm just not as committed, not as deep down that rabbit hole, you know, as some people are. We're all Birmingham supporters. I'm still a football fan. You can't take it away from me. You can't gatekeep it. If I play football once every 6 months, I'm a football player. It doesn't matter if I haven't played it for the last 6 months. I'm still a football player. No, I don't know where the lines are drawn. I don't know where you can say, no, you've stopped being a gamer now because you haven't played Tetris for 6 years. So, you know, taking away your gamer card, drawing in and relating it to the context, drawing in an audience of people who wouldn't normally be gamers. You're saying, therefore, that unless you've got the GeForce, unless you've got an Xbox, unless you're interested in what's coming out, you know, in the next BlizzCon, they're not doing BlizzCons anymore, are they? But, you know, unless you're interested on the new releases, you don't count as a gamer. Then, like, what do you say to somebody who's like on the spectrum, but they're not going to do any of those things and never will? That are just going to play a bit of Genshin Impact on their phone. Do they not count as a gamer? Like, I think that's, like, where can you draw the line? I'd say, again, going back to my original point, I think everyone is a gamer. Anyone who's ever played a computer game of any description, you could probably say is on that spectrum of gamer somewhere. And not just computer game in my mind, any game. It's just they're yet to pick up their favourite or their chosen computer game and become, you know, part of that. I'd say that if you're into gaming, then gaming does encapsulate that wider context of Dungeons and Dragons and Monopoly and anything, because that's the whole point. That's why it does. And again, I'd widen that again, say if you're human, you're into gaming, and then they're going to say, oh, but you're not into gaming, are you? Because you're not interested in what the new PlayStation game is, and you don't. I'm not interested in what the new PlayStation game is. I haven't got a fucking clue what the new technology is going to be in the new. I bought quite a recent computer, so I know a bit about graphics cards and shit. But you know, I can't have people in that chat telling me I don't count as a gamer when the amount of hours I've put in to gaming probably is longer than they've been alive. I'm only joking there, but like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if we can. I think it's hard. I agree with what they're saying. Asmongold in context is kind of right, saying that, you know, these people are not traditionally gamers. They don't have an Xbox, and they don't know what's going on at the latest. You know, which Grand Theft Auto is coming out next. But not gamers though, not gamers. Like, maybe we need another term for, like, you know, tech head, or, you know, someone that's that into gaming that they're interested in what goes on inside the computer. Because knowing how the computer runs and what graphics cards do is irrelevant to playing computer games. Like, obviously it's relevant, isn't it? Obviously it's relevant, but, you know, I never knew how my Nintendo worked. I just like gaming. So when I was 8 years old, I didn't know that Super Mario 3 was about to come out. It was a surprise to me when it did. Like, I just like gaming. So I think, where's the ballpark? Where's the line drawn? I think that's where the difficulty is. The minute you start saying, and I think we should have a word for people who are that into gaming, that committed with gaming, that they're, you know, deeper into the hobby. But then you've got this other problem as well. Like, Asmongold plays loads of World of Warcraft and MMOs, but he hasn't touched certain games that other gamers would say, like, oh my god, how have you not played this game? You're not a gamer unless you've played XYZ. I could say to you, you're not a gamer unless you've played games off the Sinclair Spectrum ZX, so you know the history. And you're not a gamer unless you've played Mario 1, 2 and 3 all the way to the end. You know, forget 3D games. You're not allowed them yet. You've got to do your gamer course. You've got to know where the history is, and you've got to start from the start. Have you played Tetris? No? Right, you're not a gamer. You don't get a gamer card. I want to see evidence. Put your homework on the desk. It's not like that, is it? Some people only play Fortnite. Are they not gamers because they don't know how to play FIFA? I mean, it's within the world of gaming, you've got such diversity. Again, Monopoly, not gaming. You have to know the hobby. I should get the actual quota. Hang on, I've got to. Now that I'm doing it, I'll get the actual.
Like a really weird-looking lizard.
Shut up, please. Doing the fairness of reading the actual, and I'm going to Ganji Cuts, and I'm going to Genshin Gets an Audience.
Like, Genshin Impact is one of those games that has people that play pretty much Genshin Impact, right? And they play games like Genshin Impact. So it gets an audience of people that wouldn't necessarily be gamers.
I've got to pick him up on this. So there we go. That's the original Asmongold quote. It gets an audience of people that wouldn't necessarily be gamers. And let me just quickly find Firefox. No, that's the wrong one. I think there's a difference between being a gamer and being a gamer. So that's what I'm saying, isn't it? Yeah, we're agreed on that. A gamer, in inverted commas, with capital G gamer, is someone who keeps up with the gaming industry and is a part. Sorry, I will have to pick you up on that. A part, not a part. A part means, I'm being pedantic a bit, but so what? You know, we're being pedantic about things. A part, where you've written it there as one word, I see it so much on the internet these days. I don't see why people make that mistake, because it means separate from. So what you're actually saying is that someone who keeps up with the gaming industry and is separate from the greater gaming landscape and culture. But what you mean is included with a part. Maybe it's an autocorrect. I'm not saying that you're silly. You know, I'm just saying that people make this mistake. Anyway, I think there's a difference between being a gamer and there as well as a capital TH. So I think it's autocorrect you've got going on here that's autocorrecting your words maybe for you. Sorry, I'm not critiquing your spelling, punctuation and grammar. I'm just, although I am, so sorry. There's a difference between being a gamer and being a gamer. A gamer is someone who keeps up with the gaming industry and is a part of the greater gaming landscape and culture. And that's where I'd say, is it? Do you have to keep up with the industry? Like, what if you just played Tetris for the last 20 years? Like, Asmongold was playing the same fucking World of Warcraft for fucking ages. He's not keeping up with the greater gaming industry. He is now, in certain contexts. We are talking about Genshin Impact and Gacha, but also I'm not, because I have no idea what's going on in CSGO. I can't possibly, it's too wide for me to keep up with the entire industry, landscape and culture. So am I not a gamer? Because I don't keep up with that industry. I'm on Twitch, but I'm not keeping up with the, you know, I think that's harsh to draw the line around that. But I do see the point that's, if you're talking about someone who has a game of Tetris every now and then, and someone who's got a fucking Nvidia GeForce and a i9 and a Stream Deck, there's a difference, isn't there? So I count on both fronts. The people Asmund is talking about are people who maybe only play 1 or 2 games, or maybe don't even play games. And that's my point as well, is that I don't think that counts. I think that you might not play so many of the modern computer games, but someone who plays a game on a phone or kicks a ball around, gaming is wide. Gaming, that's my whole point, is that gaming is also Monopoly. Gaming is also a throwing a dart. So people enjoy games, but the people who Asmund is talking about, they maybe play 1 or 2 games, or don't even play other computer games. I would edit in there, who play Genshin Impact as like their only computer game. Well, technically they are gamers because they're playing a video game. They're not a part, and again, the use of a part here is incorrect. They aren't a part of the wider gaming community. And again, I'd pull that up though. What is the wider gaming community? It's just people who are playing games. So they are because they're playing games. Just because they're not vocal about it on Twitch doesn't mean they're not part of the community. Like, being a community is just inclusivity, the end. A community is a marketing term brought up by YouTube and things to create groups so that you can feel you're part of a group, so that you end up, buying into marketing. But it's also got benefits to it. There are also positive things about feeling like you're part of a group, although there are negatives and you should be aware of them. Group psychology is something I'm going to talk about with Steve on our stream. But being part of that wider gaming community, like you saying that someone isn't, you're there in the comments saying, like, defining who is and isn't allowed to be in the community. That's what you're doing, 90TY5. I respect you and your comment here. I'm not
like Genshin Impact.
I'm not dissing you and saying, oh, you're wrong and this and that. I think it's a really interesting thing to talk about. And I replied here that it's a really good comment, a point I'd not considered. I'll talk about it and get back to you. So this is me doing that talk now. But for you to say who is and who isn't part of the community, you're now the gatekeeper. You can't be in the community because you didn't play enough computer games, or you didn't do whatever you define as being part of the greater gaming landscape and culture. You're in the community and you're drawing a line and saying they can't be part of it. So if you know what a GeForce RTX is, you're allowed in, and if you don't, you're not. And how do I know if you know that? You've got to tweet it. So whatever it is, they're drawing the lines, and I think that's wrong, because that's gatekeeping what is and isn't in the community. And I would say if you've played a game, or you're playing a game, or you're human because you enjoy gaming, because humans enjoy all forms, that was my point, is humans enjoy gaming, then that's the community. And that the community should extend as far as being human, and that's it. Like, you shouldn't be drawing lines around who can and can't come in, and you shouldn't be defining who isn't in. That's in-group and out-group psychology, which I hope we can talk about with Steve at some point, because if you look at in-group psychology, you'll see that this is actually like, it's sociological, social psychology aspect. In a social group, towards an individual feels loyalty and respect because they're a membership of the group. And to be part of an in-group, you also form an out-group. Like, we're the gamers, you're not. So now we're defining like these terms, and you actually find that we'll have to talk about it with Steve and get deep on it, but there's negative detrimental effects to it, which is that, like, you might say, like, I like Birmingham and you like Aston Villa, and Aston Villa are shit and Birmingham are great, you fucking idiot. Like, I'm the good group, you're the shit group. Like, there are reasons why gatekeeping a group and things like that are negative. Like, how do people get into the group? What do they have to prove to? Who do they have to prove it to in order to get into the group? And you got even worse things like, what fascists do, like, Hitler and the Jews. You're not being in the right group there was a bit of an issue, wasn't it? So I don't like these group things. Like with the ASMR community and me, everyone thinks the same, so you're in the community. Except me, I don't agree. Oh, we don't like you, the community says. Well, fuck you. I'm part of the community. You don't have, not everyone's going to be on your same wavelength just because we're an ASMR community. I might think you're a sellout, and you might think that I'm up my arse and shout my mouth off. Like, I might call you a sellout in public, and you might have to block me on Facebook. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, you might have problems. Ooh, what are we going to do? Well, you did do that interview with Playboy, didn't you? Yeah, you did. So, fuck you. Like, the group's not always going to agree. And then you've got arbitration within a group about who's right. And then you've got a structure of what's the word I'm looking for, hierarchy within a group. And now we're talking about all these other things, you know, bit different, aren't they? But what I'm saying is that I think it's really clear to me, the video wide, in order to be part of a wider gaming community, we have to have somebody arbitrarily drawing some sort of gatekeeping line, and that's you here, and the line is that you have to be part of the greater gaming landscape and culture. So I don't know what that is. I don't know how you get in. I don't know if playing Tetris means that my mom is, and I don't know if the fact that she's also played Candy Crush means she is, or if she didn't play Candy Crush, she's not. But they make a good point at the end. They couldn't give a fuck about if you only play Genshin and you don't play other games, as long as you're not being annoying about it. So that's a good point. So this person actually doesn't believe in those arbitrary lines drawn. They don't care. We're all human. We can all just do what we want, they say at the end. But they do make this qualification. Maybe they're confused. And like, I'm not having a go at 90TY here, but I'm saying, you know, think about it. Maybe you don't agree with group psychology. Maybe you don't want that line drawn around you. And maybe just because you heard someone telling you this, you know, maybe the... What I'm trying to say is that people reinforce this kind of group thing. You know, you've got gangs in America, you know, we're the Bloods and they're the Crips, and, you know, we have a fight, right? They've got, like, reinforced this in you. No, yeah, like, you know, then you go out and tell someone else. Then you go out and be the police for someone else. Who are you on the internet to say that some people don't belong in the community? That's what you've literally said in that comment. Technically, they are gamers because they're playing a video game, but they're not a part of the wider gaming community. Who are you to determine that? And do you like the way you sound on the internet when you're saying that to people? What if my little sister reads that? Not my little sister, she's grown up, but a little, you know, what if someone reads that on the internet and says, oh, I didn't realise that me playing Genshin Impact wasn't enough. I'm not part of the gaming community. I'm going to go and do something else. This gaming community doesn't sound very nice. They don't even want me in it. Gatekeeping. Yeah, I think this is more people using a word to mean two different things. You see, I agree and I disagree at the same time. It's like, what do you call someone who mostly plays games as their main hobby, who keeps up with pretty much every new game and plays all kinds of games, both mainstream and not. Mainstream and not. Sorry, mainstream's one word. Mainstream and not. Like, you call them a gamer. Yeah, you do, don't you? Asking someone that question, it's very possible they'd say it's a gamer. Yeah, that's, again, marketing speak, though. It's just because marketing needs to have a word for you to categorise it. We don't need these categories. Again, I could call them a human. Do they also play the guitar? What about anime? Are they into anime? Are they separate people? Are the people that like anime separate from the gamers? Are the people that like the guitar separate from them? Can we be all three? Can you be two of three and one of the other? We're human, mate. We're all human. And that's the problem, is when you're trying to draw these lines around and create these arbitrary lines, we don't necessarily need them as humans. I'll tell you who does need them. YouTube, so you can put your videos in the right place so that it reaches the right market. It's marketing. The gaming market, and the idea that someone would be a gamer and that you identify as a gamer will then lead you to make purchases and, you know, help the people that are selling you the items. You go in the right area of the shop. That's what it's really about. As a computer gamer, as 90TY actually said, they could give a fuck as long as you don't annoy me. Like, if you're actually just quietly playing your games, no one cares. You don't need a title. You don't need a badge. Hello, my name is Scott and I'm a gamer. I don't need that. It's irrelevant to my life, but I'll tell you who does need it, and I've told you, marketing. I feel like having a term for that is a good thing. Industry would require that, and that gamer fits it quite well. Yeah, maybe we need a new term though, because like I said, I don't think gamer does fit it quite well, because gamer also, a good thing about names like nomenclature, the names we give things, is if they mean something specific. And like, if I say they're plums and you think that they're my plums and you grab my plums and, oh, that hurt because I wanted you to take those fruits. Do you know what I mean? We need names to be specific. So if gamer also fits the idea that somebody who enjoys games, whether they're tennis or chess, and that is also the academic term that the people who create computer games use when they're talking about their culture and their industry. And us as end users, gamers, we're not party to those discussions. But if you are looking into my documentary, which you can find on Ganji Kid on my channel, and you go to videos and you search for indie. Like, I know this because I asked the people the questions and they told me. Like, Henry there was talking about like playing like board games, and we've got a sequence where they're playing Dungeons and Dragons in the documentary. Check it out on the channel there, look, Ganji Kid. Like, gaming is gaming is general, is chess, is checkers, is football, is everything, and computer games, of course. But the digital medium is not exclusive when we talk about gaming. However, to the end user, as you say, and in the industry and on YouTube, and not maybe in every part of the world, maybe this word is specific to Western culture, and maybe we've got different ideas in different parts of the world. Maybe in Afghanistan they don't call them gamers. I don't know, but to us in this small way, yeah, agreed. So maybe we need a better word. Maybe we need like a word that, again, like, gamer could mean like you might know about CSGO and I might know about Genshin, and we can't see eye to eye, we don't understand each other's world. You might have played Hearthstone, maybe you haven't. Are you a gamer yet? Like, maybe some gamers just play World of Warcraft and they're not gamers because they're not part of this wider culture, are they? They're just playing World of Warcraft. So where do you draw the lines? I don't think that having a term like gamer does fit quite well. I think it's actually quite a bad fit. I think it's way too general, and that's the point. We're humans. Maybe we should just be general. But if you want to be specific, I don't know why this needs to be hyper-specific down to has this person played a video game before, if so they're a gamer. Like, that's not a useful word at all. Why do we need to dumb down language constantly and make it as broad and inclusive as possible till it has no meaning? Oh right, yeah, but the broad inclusive language is the original meaning, isn't it? So what you're asking for is more specific language. We can have both. Like, the word is useful, but what we're finding is it's not useful to determine. Like, I agree with what XXA's man here is saying, right?
Like, Genshin Impact is one of those,
but not entirely, because has their comment gone? It's literally gone now, hasn't it? Is my computer fucking up? It looks like their comment's gone. I was going to say I agree with what they're saying, but not entirely, as maybe they're watching this and they've took the comment off. I don't know. That's fucking weird. No, it's all here. Yeah, fine. I feel like having a term that's specific fits quite well. Like, so, but you're asking, why do we have to be specific? Has this person played a video game before? If so, they're a gamer. Like, I would say we need an industry term for someone who, like you said, is an industry au fait with the commonality of the, like. But what about this? Do you know what poggers is? You know what poggers is because we're on Twitch. Some people have never heard the word, wouldn't understand it. They played more computer games than you would ever understand. Some people make computer games and don't watch Twitch. Some people, like, it's so varied and wide that you can't have that word. Like, you can't say this player is a gamer because they played Fortnite, a professional, like someone at professional foot. Like, you'd have to have these other words: Fortnite Pro, Valorant Pro, streamer, like variety streamer, World of Warcraft streamer. You'd have to have these other words instead. And there, we're finding that the world of gaming, this big, wide, inclusive thing, has got lots of narrow niches, and that each niche is not inclusive of all the others. So it's actually not, like, it is very specific. We've got those words, but gamer is not that word. It's too broad, and you're angry that it's broad and it has no meaning, but the specifics we're not using. You should use the specifics, maybe. So that's what I think about that. I think there's a difference between being a gamer and a gamer. A gamer is someone who keeps up with the gaming industry and is a part of the greater gaming landscape and culture. I would say maybe not. A gamer is someone who plays games, and someone who plays games is a human. That's my point in the video. The people Asmon's talking about are people who maybe only play 1 or 2 games, and maybe they don't even play computer games, but they've picked up Genshin Impact. In my mind, they're a gamer who has yet to find their true calling in games world. They have yet to find the game that they enjoy, but that's because the games haven't been made for them properly yet. But they've been a gamer all along. It's just someone's had to give them the right game and unlock that. But all along they've been a gamer. They've been searching for that game. They've been playing chess and tennis and all these other games. We're humans. And that the problem has been with the industry saying, no, you're not a gamer unless you like first-person shooters. No, you're not. You're not a gamer because you don't like these games. But actually, they've been playing all these other games all along. Snake on the Nokia. And you don't know, Asmon doesn't know, who played Snake on the Nokia before they played Genshin Impact, who didn't play World of Warcraft because they didn't want to play it. They like computer games, but not that computer game. he doesn't know, he's making conjecture. I'm making conjecture as well, but mine's a bit more reasonable because I'm saying humans like games. So I think it's a bit more reasonable than saying there were some people who were not computer game players ever, wouldn't have even considered playing a computer game, and then decided, oh, hang on, this Genshin Impact, or I'll try that. And that those people also didn't play a game on their phone ever. Never on their phone, never. You've got to say, never. You know, so... No, I don't think so. I think we've all played the computer games. We've all had a go on Mario. Some people didn't take to that. Doesn't mean they're not gamers. But I agree, there are people who maybe have not been playing as many computer games and have been drawn into this more tech-based computer game culture because of something like Genshin Impact. So I actually agree. The difference is, I think they're always a part of the gaming community. It's just they haven't been... their needs have not been met by the gaming industry. That's the difference. I think gaming industry people would agree. I think people that make computer games would say, you know, yeah, these people are our audience. Like when they created the Nintendo Wii, those people are the audience. They are out there. It's just they're not being catered for. So I think that's a bit of a... Maybe we're talking around language now. You know, maybe we're talking around language, but I wanted to take that comment on and talk about it. So I have done. I hope that comes out nice in the edit. I'm not taking the piss out of anyone. I'm not saying you're wrong and I'm right. I'm saying we're talking about a subject and it's interesting. And I counter those points that have been raised on the chat with interesting points of my own, hopefully. And maybe we can carry on talking, because that's the only way you get anywhere. And for me, it's all about being inclusive and saying to somebody, like, I respect that I might not, you know, it's not for me to say you're not a gamer and that you can't be a gamer, and that I'm not the gatekeeper or judge for, like, if you're telling me you're a gamer, you're a gamer. Like, you know, if you're telling me you don't like computer games, I might think you're not a gamer then. Or me, what I think is, oh, you haven't found the one for you. You know, it's like somebody telling me they don't like chocolates. Yeah, don't you? Really? Because chocolates are nice. No, I just don't like them. Right, have you tried this kind of... What about dark chocolate? What about salted caramel chocolate? We're going to find you a fucking kind of chocolate you like, and one day you're going to come around and say, you know what, I do like chocolates after all that time I just hadn't had the chocolate for me. You know, I'm human. I like food. I'm human. I like, you know, congratulations. I'm human. I like gaming. That's the way I feel about it. So I think that having that inclusivity means that these people come along this journey with us more often and more included. And without that inclusivity, you know, attitude to start with, people don't even make the games for these wider audience people. And that's why Genshin's successful, and why Asmongold is still stuck in this like old thought pattern of gaming equals Razer laptop, or, you know, gaming equals Twitch, or gaming equals, like, no, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. If your sister's had a My Little Pony in the past, she's a gamer. It's just they didn't make a My Little Pony MMO when we were kids, so she never got in. They didn't make a pink Xbox. Like, they didn't market gaming at young girls. So young girls grew up generationally feeling that it wasn't really for them. And then when they looked into it, it was heavily marketed to young boys, so they felt even more so that it wasn't for them. But thank God we've managed to let that completely to waste, lay it completely and push it all aside and open up this world to everyone. I think that's what really this is about deep down. And when they're talking about this audience, I mean, getting to the nuts and bolts here, you know, we're talking about people who wouldn't normally play games, who now play Genshin Impact. Who are we talking about? All the young lads are all playing Call of Duty. They're all playing games. So we're not talking about them, are we? We're talking really about girls, maybe. Either girls or old people, you know, who doesn't normally play games and why. And that's why I come down to that passionate point that, you know, it's important that as an industry, if people aren't playing games, they don't say that people are not gamers. They look inward and say, hang on, we're not servicing the gamers properly because they're not playing them and they're humans. So we're fucking up here somewhere. Yeah. And I think that even, like, you know, there's a game for everyone. There's a game for everyone. I don't like computer games. I'm not playing. The people who say that, I bet they've played something on their phone and they're just saying it because they mean, I don't like a Razer laptop with an Xbox controller, or I don't like Call of Duty. That's what they mean, because they're still caught up in this nomenclature of gaming means 14-year-old boys swearing at each other on voice chat. You know, that's the problem. It's still a nomenclature problem, it's still a naming problem, but gaming is a human endeavour that we all enjoy. Point made. Zip. Right, get rid of that. Firefox gone.